And I'm joined, of course, by Mr. Mike, my old rival sons. How's it going, Miley, man?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me.
No, man, pleasure's all mine. Pleasure's all mine, dude. You got a busy summer ahead. I know you're already over in mainland Europe as we chat, and you'll be coming to the UK shortly. But before we speak about those dates specifically, first time chatting to you and everything. I just wanted to get like right back to the beginning and sort of discuss with you as a fan, like who was it? What was the moment that made you want to get behind the kit? What made you, who was those early influences to you? Did you have a sort of spark moment?
That was perfect timing, actually. He's Scott's playing some Scorpions over here. Uh, we're joined by Mr. Scott Holiday.
Hey.
It's in my AirPods, probably. So,
So Scorpions.
like, yeah. Well, let's just say the first band I played in, we played as "Rock You Like a Hurricane" was the first song I ever played in the band. So, kind of to bridge the gap, the actual first time I wanted to get behind drums was definitely probably listening to "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins.
Nice.
Every kid hears that drum, and every kid that I guess that wants to play drums hears that and wants to play drums. You know, so I mean, I think everybody wants to air drum that part.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be
Um,
impossible to hear that and not want to air drummer or no
yeah.
drum.
So uh, I went to my uncle's house. He was a drummer, and my dad sent me the drum room, right? And they uncle set me up with the made
Oh,
everything high. I was probably 4, 5, 6 years old,
oh wow.
and I was trying to play that song for, I don't know, it felt like 10 hours. I was probably in there for 30 minutes, but they
It's a
said
long
I was
time
in
when you're a
there
kid.
all day. Yeah. And, but it was a 5-piece kit. So it wasn't enough tom toms. So I was getting frustrated. So I was already, aware of orchestration, at 5 or 6 years old. So I knew I wanted to have a huge drum set at that point.
You went into big band stuff quite young age, didn't you?
Yeah, high school. I played in
Yeah.
jazz band, and high school and university played in jazz band.
Nice. Do you think that set you up for the bigger, more kind of anthemic sound that Rival Sons has kind of gone into? Because obviously, as especially the last two albums, Darkfighter and Lightbringer, there's like a kind of bigger sound throughout the whole thing. Do you think that kind of just arsened up that side of your toolkit?
Well, I don't know. Big band drumming is definitely a style of drumming that's lends itself to kind of lead drums.
Hmm.
Keith Moon called it lead drums, and so sometimes we're in the studio and Dave Cobb, our producer, is like saying, more fills, do that Keith Moon shit you do, he's in the talk back and you have headphones on and he's
Yeah.
just yelling at me to do more, more, more. And so a lot of drummers don't get that liberty. So I'm pretty blessed in that sense to, you know, play a lot of drum fills. Because you don't want to play selfishly, you don't want to play drum fills for the sake of a drum fill. But when you listen to Mitch Mitchell play with Hendrix,
Yeah.
he's a jazz drummer. He played big band. Um, and John Bonham
Hmm.
was well aware of jazz. Ginger Baker, those guys were jazz drummers, or
Yeah.
very cognizant of that flair that Tony Williams had.
Hmm.
That um, Elvin Jones, Roy Haynes, like the big jazz drummers.
Yeah.
Obviously, Buddy Rich and Mel Lewis, and that era, Gene Krupa, that era of drummers was very influential on all the drummers I love in rock and roll. So I have to imagine it had something to do with uh, linking those
Yeah.
two all the
Amalgamating
way
those
to
two together.
Lightbringer and Darkfighter. I mean, I go back to our first album, and I'm still trying to play like the first album. I mean, the first album, the spirit of the first album, and the EP and Pressure and Time and Head Down, and all these albums have a different ethos lyrically and musically, but the drumming, I'm still trying to sound like I'm 5 years old, gifted with an ability to play, you know, like a very youthful spirit, you know.
I think, well, I think all musicians have that, and they all try to do what you do naturally. But obviously, like we all pick up influences along the way. Obviously, everyone talks about those sort of the founding influences you spoke about there, drumming wise. But along your like, has there been any more sort of as you went along like your drumming career, more influences later on in life where you like just made you stylistically just change up what you were doing or take things in where you thought, holy shit, these guys have got something new that's coming to a new color to your
You,
palette kind of
you know
thing.
what? Two completely separate influences that are completely different. One is Meg White with the
Yeah,
White Stripes. When I heard her play on that first Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground,
yeah,
when that
great
first came on
album.
the radio, I was like, who the fuck is drumming on this? You know, and then I found out it was the White Stripes. I didn't even know who the White Stripes was. It came out on the radio,
Hmm.
and it was on K Rock in the UK, and I mean in LA, sorry. And anyway, that really affected me. Like I could feel it, you
Yeah.
know. And then on a completely different tip was OK Computer.
Okay, yeah.
When I heard Radiohead, uh, so that's why I said those are two completely
Yeah,
different
very separate sounds.
e- energies or essences and moxie and everything. But there was like an articulation that happened on OK Computer, and you could hear his drumming. You could hear the ghost notes and the. It was so drummer friendly. I think every drummer I know, like I mean, most musicians love that album. I think it's the greatest album of the 1990s,
I
that
agree with you.
decade up for sure. And so, sonically, the songwriting, I mean, beginning to end is a perfect album. And so, you take that and the White Stripes. And so I'm coming out of uh, university at that time, full band geek, getting a music degree and music theory, and probably had a dorky haircut and stuff. And then I'm hearing this stuff, and I'm like, because during university days, it was all about Miles Davis, Frank Zappa, John Coltrane, you know, eh, uh, Bud Powell, like bebop.
Those guys.
I was super into bebop, hard bop, the Miles, the '60s Coltrane, Tony Williams on drums, and we were just band nerds, just trying to play and listen and listening and listening. And then I got out of music, so I wasn't listening to Nirvana, Soundgarden. Like I missed the whole '90s grunge
Oh, yeah.
thing, And so I was jazz nerd. So I came out and somebody played me OK Computer, and I was like, holy,
Yeah.
So yeah, so that really like shifted my whole, you know, full paradigm shift.
It's interesting, isn't it, how different influences coming along, and sometimes they come along. I think I always had this kind of ethos. I'm a bass player myself, and I kind of had the ethos of like, I'll hear things when I'm supposed to hear them, when they're ready for you, or when, more importantly, when you're ready for them. So obviously, your whole styling has come from your more schooled approach over these, and then you obviously taking on the influences along your time as well. So yeah, it just makes sense that they were sort of amalgamate together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think some of the, I don't know, I want to hear lots of influences in the music I love,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, um, we came out on Earache Records back in
Hmm.
the day, and it was metal. It was Cannibal Corpse. It was all those like, really heavy, hard metal. I don't even want to miss genre
It's a very
the
sensitive scene if you miss genre
I
it. I
know,
know.
yeah. I don't want to miss genre, especially in this day and age. No. So, uh, so yeah, like we're a rock and roll band. So we called, speaking of genre, we called ourselves blues core. So we're on Earache, and we were an anomaly, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but like all these like heavy metaler metalheads, I mean, even in the audience, you know, we were doing festivals with Meshuggah, dude,
Yeah, that's
and
insane.
like making friends. Me and Thomas Hack are good, really good friends. And these guys, they love music too. You know, everybody, Thomas listens to Miles Davis as well. Like most people listen, most people love Bob Marley. Like who doesn't love Bob Marley?
Yeah, exactly.
Bob Marley's like arguably, I think, the greatest front man of all time. You know,
I
playing
don't know
guitar, singing, writing, just creating
how
the
to work
whole
around
thing that
people,
he
like
did.
people.
It's like, you know, so the soul of Bob Marley, like the soul of Keith Moon, the soul of Jimi Hendrix, you know, all these great musics that we all know and love, you know. Um, they all had crazy wide influences, you know.
This is it. I mean, I think if you like music, you like music. It's simple out.
Yeah.
There's only music that sings to you and music that doesn't. It sort of doesn't genre doesn't. I've never really quite got, you know, I've had conversation with friends when they're like, "Oh, I don't like this genre of music," and you're like, you can't write off a whole genre just because you don't like four songs. It's not really how it works.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
to open up. But with obviously Darkfighter and Lightbringer being released back to back, did you change the approach at all, knowing that obviously the content of the music was going to be what it was?
Might be controversial amongst the rival sons, but you know, Scott and Jay are kind of the artistic directors. You know, most of the songwriting comes from the guitar and the vocal. Jay had a thing he was going for lyrically, and
Mm,
some of his best lyrics, I think, of
absolutely.
ever. It's just like the content, the words, the rhymes, the everything about it lyrically. I'm a drummer. I was always into the way singers sing, not necessarily the words. And so not only is Jay like his performance is amazing, but I actually like wanted to take in the lyrics.
Mm,
And so when they decided to split them into two things, Lightbringer and Darkfighter, I thought it was clever. For me personally, those two albums are like
mm,
it's the COVID lockdown sessions
yeah.
for me. So my spirit, my ethos that I brought to the project was, you know, we recorded a lot of those songs were recorded at the beginning of the pandemic, and some of them at the end. Some songs are on, you know, it wasn't like we recorded it in sequentially, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the COVID sessions, and so artistically bringing it out to the public into two things I thought was incredibly clever and totally cool. It wasn't how I personally was approaching it. So, and you know, I'm kind of glad I didn't know, because at the beginning of the COVID lockdown, we weren't saying, "Oh, we're going to do two albums and it's
Yeah.
going to be like this," and it just kind of just like it
Stars
just
aligned on
happened. Yeah, and of course, you know, it's being over our skis, so to speak, with the record company. The record company's like, "Oh, geez, what do we do with this?" So, you know, business wise, it was kind of tough to release that, especially at the time we did. But artistically, I think it's just such a bold statement to do two albums in 1 year. Not too many people, if any, have ever done that, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's not like you say, it's not a common prospect for it to happen. But I think from a fan's point of view, you know, it was, you know, we were happy like being stuck, we couldn't go to gigs, so there's a lot of great albums coming out. But I think between Darkfire and Lightbringer, um, it's they're both. I think there's something most incredible rival songs on across those two albums. I think
oh,
stylistically,
thank you.
you know, I came when you guys came over to do the tour in the UK. I was at the Cambridge gig, which was the Lightbringer release day. So you did Lightbringer in its entirety, and to see that album live, along with
Oh,
us
I
was
remember that.
yeah,
Was it raining?
yeah, it was yeah,
It was totally pissing.
chucking it
I
down, yeah,
remember. You know, it's funny. When in doubt, playing in the UK, you could say, was it raining? And you probably guessed
Probably
right.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, one of my favorite sets seeing you at a Rambling Man Fair Festival, that absolutely threw it down during your set for there as well. And everybody was just in for a good time and no one cared anyway. So it was all good.
I don't know if you remember, my memory of Rambling Man is looking over and seeing Nuno Betancourt and like half of Rihanna's band on the side stage.
Oh, well, they
And
watched inside the stage, were they? I
you
saw
know,
Nina, I didn't reckon to see anyway.
it was freezing, and Nuno was standing on the side of the stage, like head banging to us. You know, it was really cool because I've been a fan of him since I was young. Like since I was a baby with Extreme. And More Than Words and stuff. Probably like my first love, my first girlfriend or whatever. I probably dedicated that song. But it's great to see. That's my memory of Rambling Man. But
Well, it's a cool memory, man. I mean, Nina Betancourt's just the absolute man, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's one of the best songwriters and guitarists going, frankly.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, man. But speaking of, we sort of touched upon speaking of live shows and coming back to the UK for the summer, you've got your own headline shows, which is going to be awesome as always. But you are involved in this big Black Sabbath Aussie final show. Obviously, you did do the last farewell tour with Sabbath when they were going out and were doing their run of shows on the 13 tour. I take it that was you were on the cards quite early on for this sort of incredible bill.
To be honest, I actually think we weren't.
Oh, okay.
I think that the first announcement of the thing was just a few bands.
Yeah, it was quite a small
And
announcement.
I think we were talking to our manager and we're like, what the heck? Like, maybe and so we kind of sniffed around and they weren't done booking the thing. And I don't think they're still, I think they're still probably booking acts to be guests because everyone wants to be on this thing and be a part of it. So
Absolutely.
it's really cool. But I found out about it on Instagram, when it first, like last year, was
Yeah,
announced. I think that they were going to do something, and then when we got added to it, my phone just blew up. It was just like,
yeah.
dude, you're playing
Yeah, I bet,
So I
man.
mean, it's I honestly I don't know um how it's um who's playing when, and
Yeah.
I have an idea of like what we're doing. I don't think I'm allowed to say.
No, of course.
And I'm assuming any band that's playing is going to do something similar to what we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be amazing. If you're going, I don't think you will be let down.
No.
But as far as Black Sabbath, I think they're supposed to play.
Well, they're supposed to, aren't they? And it's like, so like 20 years ago, I was at Download Festival, and I think that was the last time the four original with obviously Bill Ward, Geezer, Tony, and Ozzy played together. And that was incredible. So to see, I know it's Ozzy, it's been marketed, in Ozzy's sort of final shows with his own health issues that he's been having, of course. But to see Bill Ward back behind the kit of Sabbath is going to be, something to behold.
When was that download? We were there.
There
Was
was
that 2012 or 13?
they did 2013, but it was when they had Tommy Clufetos playing drums,
Oh, okay.
and then they had a Download 2000, yeah, 20 years ago now. Download 2005 was
Okay.
all original with Bill Ward behind the kit as well.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, I'm good friends with Tommy. He's an incredible drummer. And if there's anybody to fill
Oh yeah,
those shoes, and to play a 2+ hour, 2.5 hours, I don't know I forgot how long they were playing. To play with that intensity, man, it's I know Bill has some health issues and
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, he's had his heart attacks and everything else.
I I had a we gave Black Sabbath the Grammy Legend Award,
Mm.
um 2019, 2020, right before COVID, 2019. Anyway, and I'm sitting in catering
Mm.
with my wife, and I this big giant guy comes over to me, and it's Bill Ward's assistant. It's been with him years, and he goes, "Excuse me, do you have a few minutes? Bill Ward would like to have a word with you."
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm eating my food. I'm like, what? What? I'm like, put my plate down. I'm like, babe, I'll be right back. And actually went down there with my wife and stuff. So we all went down and he was just sitting at he was sitting at this little with a chair, a table chair,
Yeah.
and he had this little moment set up for us, and we talked for like 30 minutes,
Wow.
and turned out he was a big fan of Rival Sons, and
That's cool.
he was asking about particular grooves I was doing, and it was I was blown away, and I was so blown away. I don't really remember. No
Yeah.
one filmed it, or it was just our little moment that we had. And to have him asking me what I was doing, and like,
Yeah. That's gotta be
were
crazy.
you swinging that? Was that like I'm just like, whoa, dude, you're like, listen. Not only do you hear like, you hear a song and you're like, oh, that's a cool song, but he's like telling me what I'm doing, and like and confirming. He's like, "Were you playing like a ghost note thing with your left hand?" Blah blah blah. And I'm
Nice.
like, "Dude," so that was pretty cool to
That's
meet
cool
Bill
though.
Ward.
Well, yeah, I mean, to have someone like Bill Ward taking that much attention on it is pretty insane.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man.
So we're in Italy right now, on tour. Tomorrow we're opening for Guns N' Roses. We're out here on this
Nice.
Guns N' Roses tour. Um, so this summer's just been crazy, and then we're gonna end in Birmingham, this Black Sabbath thing. So it's just super cool. I'm totally blessed. Rival Sons is going on 17 years old. We're gonna record our 10th album in the fall.
Nice.
So it's you know, I can't say how blessed I am enough. And it's a miracle. Rival Sons is still together and happy. We're all, I mean, you could see he's like, we're all just still having fun and cracking jokes, and keeping it lighthearted, and so easy to get brooding, and the music business is so crappy, especially on like this kind of, we're still an indie band,
Yeah, I mean, you obviously go sign
and
to the label and stuff, but you still always remain that independent attitude about you guys and everything, which is
I mean, we wouldn't have it any other way, and I don't think like most major labels would have us. we we do things our own way, and we all had record deals before we even were in a band
well, yeah.
together. So it's, you start learning the ins and outs of the business, and like, we want to own our masters. We do a lot of licensing,
Mm,
for TV and video games and movies and movie trailers, and sports. Like, if you watch sports, our music's being played like going into commercial. um and so it's lucrative to get to do licenses, and so you want to own your music.
yeah,
And
I mean,
so especially in this day and age, and being independent, we're not getting like millions of dollars from these other
yeah,
avenues. Um so yeah, it's just smart to be good at business. But then, there's the other thing. It's like, I don't want to say sell your soul, but you sign with a major, you kind of have to
do certain
play
things.
by you play by their rules, and
Yeah,
that's something we don't do. We're not a band that's going to go in and play by other people's rules. So but we're still here. So
there you go. I mean, to me,
uh
you seem to be a band that don't have any rules. There seems to be no restrictions on what, Rival Son's sound is defined by you guys and you guys alone, and that's the way it should be. Um, you don't, I like we were talking earlier about sort of various influences, and you want to hear a rich kind of tapestry of influences in the bands. I mean, I do with bands I love, and I love the fact that I'll put on, Feral Roots or and it's different to Great Western Valkyrie, and it's different to, Darkfighter, and it's different to this, that, and the other, and to go back to the EPs and things. I love that every time you release an album, it's got a different flavor about it, and it's what you guys are writing there and then. And I think with a major label, and not to slag anyone off on majors, because I love big bands who are all on majors, but sometimes I feel that there's certainly periods of careers where they were chasing the album before, whereas I think
yeah.
you've got that artistic freedom to do the album that you want to do, and then that shines that bit brighter.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. And our part of our ethos is never to repeat.
Hmm.
So we're not going to go in and go, Pressure and Time, had a simple riff and a simple groove, and I mean, a rock and roll song is a rock and roll song.
Yeah,
So
of
I
course.
mean, it's but for us, each song on each album, um, including the EP, it's nine albums, and it's like I've never repeated myself on the drums once. So in 9 albums, and so, but I'm a huge AC/DC fan, and Phil Rudd played
Oh
the
no,
same shit. Like on 90% of that is like the same thing, and AC/DC is one of the greatest bands of all time, and so, so like you said, I'm not knocking
no, no.
that. It's just our ethos is it's
It's the
more like
great things.
jazz, and back to the jazz conversation, like the jazz ethos is to never repeat yourself. So you're never going to hear Tony Williams repeat himself. And you can hear the same Miles Davis song played 20 times and listen to all 20 versions. And Tony Williams is never going to do the same thing twice.
No,
Ron Carter's never going to play the same bass line.
no.
And Herbie Hancock's never playing the same lines on the piano. Wayne Shorter's never play, those guys in Miles band from this is the 60s Miles group that
Yeah,
my favorite. Wayne Shorter, Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Tony Williams.
great lineup.
Never. I mean, you'd get probably kicked out of the band if you repeated yourself, So
That's great, man. I mean, obviously, you mentioned the Guns N' Roses shows, and obviously, with the Aussie thing we mentioned as well. But you are coming back while you're over here. You are doing your own headline shows as well. So I can't wait for that. It's great to see you again. I'm coming along to the
yeah,
Ipswich show, so I will see you there, man. And I can't wait. I'll share the dates across our socials when I air this interview, so people can come along and make sure things. I mean, why would you miss it? Simple as that. But I
I
appreciate.
appreciate it. Yeah.
That's all right, man. I appreciate you. You still have time. You got rehearsals and everything going on. So I appreciate your time, Mike. It's been great to
Yeah.
chat.
Thanks for working with our schedule. We had a little schedule conflict, and
It's all good, dude.
um, I did I did the time zone thing all messed up, and so our sound check ended, and I thought was the perfect going right into an interview, and it was like 2 hours from now is the time change. So
It's
anyway,
all
my bad. So, but I don't think anybody watching this is gonna know about
no.
that. But here we are, and we made it.
We made it. That's the main thing, Miley. And
Yeah.
thank you, appreciate it. It's all good. I've had the pleasure of speaking to Jay and Scott on the show before, so it's nice to chat to yourself, mate. See, now I just
Oh,
need to
good.
interview Dave, and then I've got the whole set. So there you go. That's for the next
Yeah.
one.
Dave's in Venezia. He's in Venezia or whatever, Venice.
Oh, yeah.
So, what do they call Venice? What do the Italians call Venice? Venezia? I don't know.
I think so. Something like
Anyway, he's in Venice. He went sightseeing today, so he didn't
that. I
even
don't
make it
blame him.
sound check.
Well, Venice is
So
lovely, so I don't blame him for going out and seeing the sights, man. It's gorgeous.
yeah, I love Venice. Well, are you wrapping it up? Are we wrapping it up?
Can do if you want to.
Oh, okay. I thought you were. I thought that's where you were going with it. I'm good, man. I
You
have like
do?
3 more hours.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how much time we had, so second guessing, man.
No, I mean, we're if you do we have more stuff to talk about?
Yeah,
Like
I
I
mean,
said, I could talk for hours about music. So
no, I'm happy to keep chatting, buddy. I didn't know how long we had. I appreciate there was the time, like we just mentioned there. I didn't know if you were rushing off to do something or whatever. So that's cool. But yeah, we were talking about obviously the Darkfire and was there anything? I mean, has there ever been a song because you were talking about before with like Jay and Scott, particularly on Darkfire and Lightbringer, having that kind of musical direction with it that pushed your drums into an area that you might not have gone or expanded your things, or it started off somewhere and it morphed to something else? Or...
each song was kind of its own session. Like it was like, and then I switched to Pearl drums
Oh,
like
okay.
halfway through the album. So we were setting up different drum sets
Hmm.
and different. What odd thing was is Nobody Wants to Die was one of the first songs we did, and Dave Cobb had this old Pearl kit,
Yeah.
and I wasn't officially a Pearl artist at the time, and so we did Nobody Wants to Die on this 80s fiberglass Pearl kit,
Oh,
and so for me it was the first album that we all the other albums were recorded on the Mayer Brothers Maple sound. My first drum company I played was Mayer Brothers. And so we did I'd say 90% of the songs that you hear on Rival Sons albums are on the Mayer Brothers. And then Barrel Roots. I played probably half Mayer Brothers, half Gretsch, and then love Gretsch. I'm still a big fan of
Mm.
what Gretsch does. I love Gretsch guitars, and
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm friends with the family and stuff. Pearl is just an amazing company. Done so many good things right for me, and it's not that Gretsch did anything bad or Mayer
No.
Brothers did anything bad. It's when you're touring, when you're touring and playing all over the world, it's the support and stuff that you get, um but so in the studio, the Pearl drums were set up. We had Gretsch, we had Camcos, we had all these kits,
Oh,
and because Dave Cobb has all these kits, and we're doing our 10th album with Dave Cobb.
nice.
So all of our albums have been done with him, and so we just work really well together. It's kind of like a fifth
Yeah.
member, And so I honestly didn't. I approached Darkfighter and Lightbringer like I did any of the other albums,
Mm.
and I'm so comfortable with Dave Cobb as a producer. He's a fan,
Yeah.
if I can say it. He likes what I do, and he encourages me to do it more. So I'm very, very lucky in that sense. Like I was saying earlier, like he's saying more fills, and it's let's just say like at the end of the song, when um uh you're in the last chorus and you're playing the last chorus four times, and on that fourth time it's like just do a drum solo over the whole thing, and just build until the ending. And so I have all that liberty. But like I'm thinking of Before the Fire, the
Oh
song,
yeah.
and I like Darkfighter, the song,
That's a hell of a
uh
song.
was dude, that was like first take.
I know. I remember when
And
I spoke to Jay when the Lightbringer side things came out. I remember Jay saying his first take, and I just couldn't believe that was done in one take. It's insane.
dude, yeah, okay, so we knew we were gonna do a jam in the middle,
Yeah.
and so we were trying to get the beginning part,
Yeah.
and we got it. And then Cobb kept playing shaker. Cobb plays shaker with us. It's
Yeah.
kind of like so we don't play to a click. Cobb is playing a shaker,
Ah, okay.
right? Cobb kept playing shaker, and I kept playing, and then Scott kept playing, and then Dave kept playing. Were just playing the jam section. So all of a sudden we're jamming to do the guitar solo in the middle eight, so to
Yeah.
speak. And yeah, so like it was just a stream of consciousness. Like,
That's
so
very cool.
it's one of those cool moments. Another cool moment that happened like that was Too Bad, the song Too Bad.
Yeah.
We could not figure out what we wanted to do. Um, Jay had this song, like an R&B song. If you
Yeah.
listen to the song, it sounds like a Rihanna song or something. It sounds like a real super R&B modern. I know you better than you think I
Melody
do.
wise, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I could totally hear Rihanna
Yeah.
singing that. And it was like doom, 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 doom. That's how Jay was feeling it.
Mm.
And he had a demo of him playing bass and his voice. And so I was hearing it like boom, bop, boom, like almost a program beat, kind
Yeah.
of modern day R&B stuff. And then Scott just comes in with this
What was doing me
it
then,
was
wasn't
like all of a sudden Beavis and Butthead are in the room going,
it?
like they're hearing the R&B going, this song sucks. Yeah. Um, uh, Hold on. Somebody's interrupting my Zoom call here.
It's all right.
Can you hear me?
I
Okay.
still got you, man.
So yeah, no. And so we put Jay's song, his R&B song, and then Scott's like doom, this doom Sabbath, Black Sabbath, Tony Iommi riff, right? And then Cobb was like, "What key's that in? What key's that in? D, D." oh my God, let's put them together. And I was asleep. I remember I was asleep on my back on the couch, and I hear, Miley, get in here. And I had heard this all going on. And I'm like, I know exactly
Know what to do.
what I'm gonna do. And we rolled tape and fucking recorded it, the guitar solo and everything.
Oh wow, man.
And yeah. So I mean, we know how to play together. We know like what an end goal is. I mean, songs are not rocket science, you know. You have verse, chorus,
Yeah.
middle eight, verse, chorus, or double chorus at the end. I mean, it's just Beatles 101. I mean, Zeppelin 101, AC/DC 101, Michael Jackson 101. I mean, The Police, like all the greatest bands. It's just verse, chorus, verse, chorus. I mean, jazz is
Yeah.
AABA. And so like that's not rocket science. It's how you deliver what you're trying to say. So
I mean, you mentioned Zeppelin there. One thing I did want to ask you, man, because I know you guys got to go to like a premiere thing of it, was what did you think of the Becoming Led Zeppelin documentary? I thought that was absolutely incredible.
oh gosh, yeah. I went with my wife, and Scott and our manager, Slash was there. Slash is the conspirators guys, they were all
Yeah.
there. It was a kind of a who's who thing at this at IMAX headquarters in LA.
Okay.
So we got to see like the the premiere of the premiere. Um, the director was there. I got to chat with the director,
Nice.
and it was unbelievable, especially to see it in the IMAX. I think I saw it in the theater with um my son
Yeah,
and my mom, and so like three generations
that's cool.
in the theater. It was pretty cool. And in the theater, it wasn't as loud as it was when I was at IMAX headquarters.
Yeah.
So I hope you and everybody at home got to hear it loud, because it was it hit me in the chest when bah, 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 bah,
Right, it should
you
do.
know, it starts out with good times, bad times,
Yeah.
and it just punches you in the chest. And I got to chat with the director, and I'm like, you know, obviously, I'm sure everybody's saying, giving you accolades and everything. I'm giving you accolades. I have one question as a musician and as a drummer and a recording artist and a producer. I check all the boxes. Like, what were the recordings? What did you have your hands on the original tapes? And he said, no, I had all the original lacquers,
Oh,
the
okay.
the master lacquers.
At the
Yeah.
beginning of the interview, I'm going to play Guillotine just because it's a cool track and I want to play it. But what song of yours would you like us to play at the end of the interview?
Oh man, I love Guillotine. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it, but when you're gonna play it right now, or you're gonna start with Guillotine.
Start with
Um,
Guillotine and then we'll.
okay. Listen to it's. I was ripping off Eminem.
Okay. Ah,
Playing the kick drum on all the fours. Fire is my favorite vocal. Jay's vocal on that is just unbelievable. So play Before the Fire.
absolutely, man. We'll do. Well, Mikey, man, appreciate your time, dude. And yeah, look forward to seeing you when you come to the UK in a couple of weeks, buddy.
Yeah, can't wait. Make sure you let Talita know so I
I
can
will.
come say hi or come backstage or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do, man. Thanks, man. All right. Well, have a good few shows and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
And thanks to all your listeners, and thanks for having me, and really appreciate your time.
No worries. Appreciate you too, man. Speak soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye, man.